Hello everyone, welcome back to MixbusTV. David here, hope you're having a great day. I'm here with Warren Huart.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you, Warren?
I'm good. I think last time you and I spoke, it was pouring with rain in LA.
It was so bad.
and then we had like 3 or 4 days of it not raining, and now it rained again, but today's relatively dry.
Yeah, it's a nice day.
It's so English of me to talk about the weather.
But yeah, I mean, it's so uncommon that it rains so much in LA. We got like,
oh yeah, January has
days.
just been whew.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful because we have the droughts, and it's just great to like go up into the hills and see all the trees, and I love it. I love it.
It's lovely, and we enjoy the sun a little more when we had a couple of days of rain.
Exactly.
Right?
And if it's always 85 degrees out, you're not going to enjoy the fact that
contrast. We need that.
Yeah.
But so, guys, I'm here with Warren, producer like a pro. You all know him, and well, you just won a tech award.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We were at NAMM 2019.
Crazy,
all of us there.
You're the first person to ask me about that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, the technical excellence and creativity. It was the that's what I found out it stands for. For audio education technology, which is honestly, to say it was a surprise is an understatement. We didn't have tickets until the day before, and then they gave us tickets. Wonder why that was. And so they gave us tickets, so that was fantastic. Thank you actually for Mike Vanderlot. You know Mike?
Yep.
He managed to organise that for us, and I think there were 6 people in the category, and one of them was a book, not a new book, but an older book that Al Schmidt had written.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting at the front, and when they name everybody and they go Al Schmidt, I shouted Al at the top of my lungs. And you can just kind of hear me if you watch the video. You hear this, oh, and that's me. And then when they announced the winner, I was like, that's not Al Schmidt. And so I didn't register me. I wonder who won. And my wife's sitting like this, and she turns around and goes like this and points at me.
You didn't pick up that was you.
No, because I was, it's Al Schmidt. Of course. Al Schmidt. And it's funny, after the show, Steve Genowick, you know Steve was there. Yeah. He calls Al and says, sorry, Al, you didn't win. And Al's like, whatever, and he said, well, who won? And he goes, Warren did. He goes, I like that guy. So
let's go.
That's the worst Al Schmidt accent ever. He doesn't sound like that at all. That's me.
But yeah, shout out to Al.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, he's a friend of us.
He's an amazing guy.
I was really happy to see you win, and it's well deserved because all the things you do.
Yeah, we're trying to. We do a lot. We're trying to juggle a lot of stuff.
It's a lot, and before going into like tech details and stuff, tell me a little more about all the activities that run around Producer Like a Pro, because most people probably don't know all of them.
No, it's just interesting because I think, like yourself, we have the same ethos, the same methodology. We don't want to stop being producers, engineers, and mixers. Right. And to be honest, I'm really just a guitar player. I mean, that's what I was. I was a guitar player for years that developed into all of these things. So for me, I don't want to stop playing guitar on a record, recording a record, co-writing songs. That's what I love. And then obviously engineering and producing it. And to me, that was a natural thing. Yeah. I was a guitar player and wanted to record my own band, so I learned how to engineer. Engineering, bring in songwriting and other arrangement skills, suddenly you're a producer. Well, suddenly, after doing it for years.
Yeah, exactly.
And then mixing was not something I initially wanted to do, because when you spend like 3 months making an album,
you don't want to mix it.
You don't want to mix it because you almost feel like it's already mixed. I remember David Bendiff said that to me. He used to hate mixing as well because you didn't really understand why you then had to mix, because you just spent these 3 months like tracking everything and getting the sounds the way you wanted to be, compressing and EQing them the way you wanted to hear them, and then you're supposed to mix it. And you're like, I just did. I recorded it. So, however, as the budgets obviously got smaller and smaller, the reality is like, where you may have given, back in the olden days, olden days 10 years ago, some guys were getting $7,500, sometimes somewhere between $5,000 and $7,500 a song to mix.
Yeah.
Those big name guys that we all know.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but when you're talking like $50,000 to $75,000 to have a name mixer mix a record, that's bigger than most rock album budgets are now.
Yeah.
And we're talking about some big name bands are making albums for $30,000, $40,000 or $50,000.
Yeah, nowadays.
Yeah, because they're building stuff at home, they're tracking the basics, and then they're doing overdubs, etc., and adding to it. Maybe just going in the studio for a week to track drums and do some. So budgets are a lot smaller, which is okay. So it was, for me, getting into mixing was just a necessity.
Yeah. I can relate with that because, as you know, we had another interview, I used to be a musician and I became an engineer out of frustration.
Yeah,
because I couldn't find an engineer that was getting my sound, so I can relate.
But I think that's why we have these channels, because what I wanted to do is it's great that some of the older guys are getting in there, getting channels. That's fantastic. But the reason why I started the channel was because I was trying to push against the old stereotypes and the old elitism. I was like trying to be like, because I didn't go to music school. I didn't work in a studio. So, which is great. All those things are fantastic. I had to learn it all myself the hard way and made tons and tons of mistakes. So I started Produce Like a Pro just to be like, hey, I have a career. I bought a house. I have a mortgage. I got kids. I paid for it all from doing music. Yeah. And all I did was like turn on the cameras and go, this is just what I do every day. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, technology today helps us,
massively,
in both fields. I would say in making music and recording and mixing and all we do on that side, and also getting the word out, getting education out.
Totally.
And what I want to say what we did is something that wasn't available not long ago. Yeah. Getting a foot inside real studios. Sure. Seeing what real producers do. Sure. How we get around problems. How we solve problems in whether it's recording, mixing, something like that. So I think it has a quite some value, the information that we put out.
Definitely. So to get back to your original question, because I know I went off on one of my famous tangents. I mean, so I don't really ever want to stop doing that. I don't want to stop being a musician, producer, engineer, guy. To me, the one thing I won't do, by the way, is I hate mastering. I don't like to master. I feel like that's the one thing that I need. I can mix my own music and I'll mix other people's music, but I'd rather not master it. That's something I want to give to a true professional and have them, because I feel like that's the last bastion. I can call up Adam Ayen or something when he's mastered something and say, what did I do wrong? And he'll be like, it was great, except on this song there was a build-up of 150 hertz, blah, 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 blah. And then I go back and pull up the mix and I learn something.
Yeah, of course. And this makes me think about some other thing you mentioned before. When an artist or a producer track an album, you produce it, then you don't understand why you have to mix it. But that's also why getting a mix engineer and a master engineer later is important. It's not just the skill, but it's just to have a different perspective on your work. Because when you're working, on a project for a long time, you're not objective anymore.
Well, I think we're in this sort of situation now. I think now that I've been doing this for a certain period of time now, I have two kind of delineations. I've just finished 2 albums, well, EPs, one's 6, one's 5 songs. I just finished these a couple of days ago, and I did all the basic tracking at Sunset Sound. And did overdubs at my place, but all the basics, drums, bass, even some piano, acoustic guitars, electric guitars and vocals. Most of that was recorded live, somewhat, with some fixes, but pretty much like the way albums used to be recorded. Yeah. I would never give that to anybody else to mix.
You recorded like each instrument at different times?
No, live, and then did some fixes. So we bass and drums, chose take 3 or 4 or whatever it was, then maybe fixed a bass line, punched in a drum fill, but essentially the basics done live. That is an album I don't know if I would give away to be mixed, because something that's about the way I record is inherent in the sound. Now, if I'm doing a pop rock thing, especially if it's emphasizing on the pop, it's kind of nice to let go of it. Like, it's not even, to me, it's not even about an ego thing of getting a big name or something like that. I don't think that really matters. I like the idea of choosing somebody and going, just mix this because I want it to be loud and radio and competitive. But I need somebody else's vision on that. So for me, there's still stuff I give away to mix to other people, and then there's stuff that I choose to keep. Yeah.
But it's an artistic choice.
It's an artistic choice.
And also, if you pick a mix engineer, it's because probably that mix engineer can add value to it. Right. And different mix engineer have different tastes and different techniques, and the result. At this point, you as a producer, you probably know which mix engineer will give you. It's better for a given project and so on.
True,
and what is best for you to mix.
And to be honest, I've learned so much over the years. I mean, the guys that have mixed my stuff, Jim Scott mixed Augustana record I did, but I went there every day and sat with him.
Right.
And he basically mixed it in a very similar way to the way I would have. He kept it on a Neve console. He did very small incremental moves. He kept the integrity of the mix. And we worked on it together, and I learned a lot from being in a room with Jim Scott. But then Michael Brower's mixed like 4 albums for me. Michael mixed the second Frey album I did, and I flew to New York and sat with him.
Yeah.
So I sat for like 10 days with Michael Brower mixing a record, and it was wonderful. I would go and sit in the live room at Quad when he was still at Quad a few years ago, and he'd call me in like 2 or 3 hours in and go, okay, I've got roughly the vision of where it is. I want you to sit and listen. And I'd sit and I'd listen, and we'd talk about guitar sounds, and we'd swap stories. I remember him asking me about working with Dave Jordan, and I was like, oh, Dave's trick is like 850 and 1.5 on the guitars. He's like, really? I was like, yeah, listen to the 850. We'd put it on and get a little honky, and he's like, oh, that sounds great. And just that sort of interaction, I learned so much from sitting in a room with Michael Brower. Tom Lord Alge mixed my first record as a band in America. I sat with him for 2 weeks working on the album.
Had an interview with him on NAMM.
Yeah, so for me, it's actually kind of cool to have other people work on your music, whether you produced it, engineered it, wrote it, played on it. I mean, you learn so much.
Absolutely, but also, it's being in an attended session like
right.
you just described. So actually being in the room with the mix engineer, you do learn so much.
Oh, it's insane.
I did it myself too.
I think the thing is like, and this is a good one because like me, I tend to focus on I don't want to sound like a catchphrase, like the emotional part, because that's oversimplification and makes it sound too freaking highfalutin. Well, it's all about the emotional connection. Yeah, of course it's about an emotional connection, but no, it's more about like, I like mixes to be, I want my music to sound exciting. I want it to take you on a journey, all of the things that people say, but ultimately I don't spend too much time on a technical. I'll get there and go, it's not hitting me over the head. What is it? And I'll try different tools like to bring up the aggression in the 3 to 5K. Choose your instruments where I want to push more. Use volume automation. All of this kind of stuff. And when I sat in a room with the Browers and and Jim and Tom and tons of other people, Mark Endert, Mark Needham, they aren't that technical either. Yes, they do understand it technically, but they're just they're definitely more. I think the reason why I'm bringing this up is because sometimes I watch videos and they spend a long time like how to mix a kick drum. Like, there is no how to mix a kick drum.
Yeah, exactly.
What works in that song at that period. And so what worries me is I don't want everybody on the planet to boost 60 hertz, pull out 350 and boost 2.5 or 7K.
Because it will never work.
It won't always work,
Yeah. And that's a good point. We do give tools to people when we teach the technical part.
Sure.
But one message that we both try to put out is that the technical part needs to be second nature.
Yeah, you just need to be doing it all the time.
Yeah.
Get it inside you, soak up all the information, and get it so that when you hear something, you can think of 5 different ways of solving a problem,
exactly.
which is the one way you want to do it. Because I think of like Simon Phillips, when I got to interview him a couple of years ago, and he shelves his kick at like 80 or 100. So his kick is more like a dock, 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 where most rock or especially hip-hop kicks is like 60 and below.
Yeah.
Sort of boom, down there. And his kick's more like, it's much higher shelving than. So what does that mean? You're going to take Simon Phillips' kick and put a sample in at 40 to 60 hertz and totally destroy. One of the things we love about Simon Phillips is you put on a drum track of his, you close your eyes, like, that's Simon Phillips playing drums.
Yeah, exactly.
You have his feel, you have the way he tunes his drums. It's a tough one. I think I don't want to confuse people because I think ultimately soak up all the information out there, but learn like the 15 different ways to do something so you know what to apply and when. And, that relationship between kick and bass, it can be massive. You can, some guys like to it's not just reggae. There's hip-hop, tons of genres where the bass is below the kick often.
That is so very true, and it's one very good point.
Right.
The message, I think it's important, is like there's no one way to mix a record. There's no one way to solve the kick and bass problem.
Yeah.
There's 20 different ways to solve it for that one song, and 20 more for the next song.
Yep.
And so many times, but not just in hip-hop and stuff like that. Think Korn.
Yeah.
Think Korn. The bass is just down below. He's got the clicky part at the top, and then all the bottom end, from probably 50 and below, is the bass, and the kick drum sits.
Oh yeah, his bass sounds like this.
Exactly. And the kick drum sits, on top, in front of it. But so many examples. It depends on genre styles. This is why the bigger is your toolbox. I think the better you're gonna be as a producer and engineer.
Yeah, and I think. Somebody in our academy was talking about drum sounds and saying that Bonham's drum sound wouldn't be relevant today, because there wasn't enough low end, but there was. Yeah, there was. It's just that in those days they would pull the bottom and the top out to put it on vinyl.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have the super, as much as we love vinyl for the aesthetic kind of pleasing, the look of it, the feel of it. Ultimately, the bottom and the top was often wiped out to get on there.
Yeah.
But you listen to the raw tracks that you can get. I've heard that you can get these days.
Yeah.
The low end on his kick is massive because it's a 26-inch kick.
Yeah.
It's absolutely huge.
And then think about vintage gear, Pultec EQs, where the corner frequencies are. 30 and 20, that was the format back then. Yeah, it was the vinyl, otherwise, the vinyl
they pulled it out and the stylus would fall out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And today everyone's got a sub or 50.
Yeah.
And definitely style changed, for all genres.
So for me, going back to your original question, for me it's like so I'm doing that. I'm making records every day. I'm currently mixing 2 albums, not actually as we speak, but and starting to make another album. And so for me, it's like I need to show that process of me doing stuff all the time. Most of the things I have on my channel are artists I produced, and so it's easy for me to pull up the tracks because I've worked on the albums. But the other thing is I feel like getting back to the way I started, I feel like it's in parallel with the only way you can make music now.
Yeah.
The fact that I had to push against so much stuff to get any sort of level of success is what we all have to do now. So I feel like a complete kinship with everybody in the world of YouTube because I didn't get anything handed to me. I did not. It was like I got so many bands signed. Oh, you have no idea how many bands I got signed from the mid-90s through the early 2000s that I just got kicked off the record.
Yeah.
I'd develop a band, I'd get them signed, and then the label guy, the A&R guy, sign them and then just push the record to his friend. And in the early days, you'd give your files up and you didn't really think about it. You didn't have a good enough lawyer. And then you'd end up hearing your record on the radio with all of your tracks in it with maybe a couple of things changed, but you didn't get the production points or paid the big money for it. It's like that was the old business. Now, there's no budgets anymore. Yeah. So it doesn't work like that anymore. This is the great thing about being in the world we live in. Like if David does a record now and he makes it for $10,000, it gets signed, they'll put it out.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because they don't have $500,000 to give.
Yeah.
Don't say, guess some of the people, to remake the record and copy it or take your files. Now, it's easier for them to just pay you the 10 grand, give you the points on the record and put it out.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is a good time to be making music.
I say that. I've been saying that for the past 2 years. While a lot of people seems to think that that's not a good, time to make music or be in the music business. No, it actually is because things are changed. Things have changed already, and you just need to learn the new way, which is not how it was working in the 90s and stuff.
And streaming is going through the roof. Yeah. I know this is going to be massive discussion on streaming. One of the problems for the streaming conversation is that the people that shout the loudest in streaming are legacy artists. Mm-hmm. So for them, they're getting 13% of that 0.0750 or 30, whatever it is. So they get that old school thing. So they're all complaining about it. However, I've got independent artists with multi-million plays.
Yeah.
I have one artist that has one song has 24 million plays as an independent artist.
That's awesome.
We did the math the other day. directly coming to him in income off that one song is $167,000. To make $167,000 on one song on a major label at like 13% of that, you'd have to have like several hundred million plays to get the same money. So this is a really good time for independent artists.
We were talking about this on the roundtable here on MixbusTV. The new episode is going to come out soon. I had Erin M. Jacobson in there, which is a music industry lawyer, and she was telling us so many artists do better without a label nowadays.
I mean, it's a hustle. You have to do your own marketing.
Yeah, of course.
You have to get yourself out there. But hey, if this is what we love, I mean, I'm working 15 hours a day every day.
Yeah, same here.
But I love this, and so I get to market myself. I get to communicate with everybody out there. This is the best freaking time.
Yeah, it is.
Like I said, I was in the industry in the 90s when I first started off, and it was bleeding tough.
Yeah.
Couldn't get anybody to listen to you, and everybody was really controlling. Not saying it still isn't a little bit like that, but
yeah, it was really bad. I was a musician in those years, and yeah, it was bad.
It was tough. Yeah, there was ivory towers of half a dozen people that ruled the industry. You had to get through it, and
Yeah, that was it. And I just put 2 artists under contract here. So I do put my actions with my words. I think this is a good time to be in the music business.
I think it's fantastic.
You just need to know a couple of things. About what you do, how to put your products and everything else. But yeah, definitely. So you talked about the Academy. Tell me about it.
Oh, I do a couple of different online things. So the Academy is every month we do a new multi-track. Mm-hmm. Some months we do 2. I mix the song, I break it down. Sometimes I mix it entirely in the box. Sometimes I mix it hybrid. We've had ones from tape. We've had them mixed with 2-track drums. We've had them mixed with 24 tracks of drums. We've had Vinnie Carluta playing drums on tracks. We've had Blair Sinter, Victor and Drizzo on drums. We've had Sean Hurley on bass, Dan Rothschild on bass, John Button. Like, we have every single musician. Sometimes I've played all the instruments. Sometimes it's been a band. We don't have any one way of doing it. So every month there's multi-tracks. And you can... The thing is about this that works so well is that the Academy itself is really, 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 really positive. And I mean that so humbly. It's all just people helping each other out. There's no infighting whatsoever. And to be honest, if there ever was, we'd just kick them out and give them their money back. Of course. There's absolutely no reason. It's not one of those sort of forums where you're afraid to ask something and everybody tells you you're wrong. It's a really, really safe place. So that has been amazing. Really, really super blessed with that. So please check it out. I'm sure we can give you links and stuff. But the other thing, and that you and I are doing together is, and this is just something I'm part of, is the Pro Mix Academy. And the Pro Mix Academy is where I take different producers, engineers, and mixers like yourself, and musicians as well. And sometimes I provide the multi-tracks and they do their version of it, but often, like you did, they create their own courses. And what I like about that is it's not about me. I don't have my name on it. I'm only one of the mentors. I think there's like, I don't know how many, 20 different mentors.
Yeah, probably like 20.
We've got some great guys like Bob Marlette, who his resume is absolutely wonderful. He's made some of my favorite records. Ulrich Wild, really good friend of mine. We probably know from Pantera and Static X. Cameron Webb, obviously, who most well known recently for doing the last 6 Motorhead records. Mm-hmm. He has a studio in Orange County. You have to meet him; you'll love him. He's got a great studio in Orange County. He's done tons of Orange County punk. He's done Pennywise. All of those kind of big Orange County bands. Brad Wood, who very famously did Exile in Guyville, which is one of the biggest and most influential albums of the 90s. Ken Sluter, I mean, there's tons of guys.
Our friend Bob. Yep.
Yeah, our friend Bob Horn has like 3 or 4 courses now. Yep. Eric Rikers did one with Bob. There's tons of guys.
Yeah, and I'm here too.
And you have a course coming out. So I mean, this is what's great. To me, I like that because I'm just one part of it.
Yeah.
And I'm very wary of putting my name, making it about me. I don't want my name in a title of anything because I feel like That's one of the things that we're always pushing against in the music industry, is to get rid of the sort of ego-based thing on it.
Exactly.
To me, it's more about like community. Well, it's not. It's not even. It's definitely about community. It's all about community.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it like I say, it takes a village. You can't do this stuff on your own.
No, you can't.
And I've learned from other people. I don't do it in isolation.
Collaboration is like the key. I think is one aspect that in both music production and education and events like this, like collaboration is so important, and it brings so much good. It makes things so much better. You know,
I mean, all the best artists in the world were either. I mean, you got for every Bowie you've got. It's still like every time I read something about Bowie, he always let his musicians like bring everything they can to it. So it was like every time he made a record, it was like he had a band. Yeah. And then all the music that I love, and I'm sure you love as well, is made by bands of musicians that are they're either like masters of their instruments, or they're a combination of that with songwriting and production skills. There's very few pieces of music, there's a couple of exceptions, but very few pieces of music where it's just one person. And even Prince, who I love, I don't think personally think he had quite the same artistic output on every record that you could get if there was 4 of him. I'm sure if there was 4 Princes, every album would be the biggest selling album of ever.
I agree. It's so important. And technology today forced people to work like by themselves in their room.
But that's the nice thing about communities. We have guys and girls like in Australia, New Zealand, Germany, Italy, Sweden, you know, France, UK, whatever, all sending files to each other and all helping each other out. One of the things we get every week is I give the files out, and then I'll mix critique live. I do live mix critiques of 10 ones we pick at random. And at least 2 or 3 of those have had overdubs or have been remixed or done stuff. And then we have this, it's starting to really grow, this idea. We have a guy like playing drums, like AJ. It's one of our main guys, main is the wrong word, one of our many guys, and he'll play drums. Or Jeff in Canada will play drums on it. And then we have different guys playing. We have a French guy, XS, who's a great guitar player and producer, and he'll do stuff. And we have people all over the world, like we'll collaborate. And it's just, that to me is what this is all about.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So your new course is coming out.
Yep.
And you did recording and mixing hip-hop.
I did recording, mixing, and mastering.
Oh, nice. And the mastering.
Yeah, all that too.
Marvelous.
And I gave a couple of pointers in the mastering section of that course.
Great.
They can be applied to any genre, not just hip hop.
This is an important thing. I think we can talk about this on camera. What's been interesting is I've done courses with like Ario Shobaz. We didn't talk about him before. He's a massive hip hop producer, engineer, and mixer, and a great guy. And it's interesting, I think, with hip-hop, it's very, very, very specific. People have very, very strong opinions on hip-hop. But like we're talking about with your course is like a lot of the techniques that you're doing can be used in any genre.
Absolutely, yeah.
And to be honest, I like picking up everybody's tips because it's going back to that mentality we talked about at the beginning of like you really want to have like 100 different ways to solve every problem. So I don't think you can ever stop learning. I'm always learning.
Never.
Always learning.
Yeah, always curious.
So we're going to do the early bird special.
Yep.
So, and then of course you can check out producelikeapro.com, and there's an academy there where I think we have about 2,400 members. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, and there's a lot of courses, a lot of
courses, and
high quality.
And you got some stuff coming out in there as well.
Absolutely, and there will be more.
Yep, very excited.
Me and Warren, we work together. I'm very happy about it.
And you've got something going on with Glenn, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. We're probably going to do something with Glenn too. And by the way, in the course, people get, let's say, just in case my audience is not familiar with it, you get the full Pro Tools session.
Yeah, all the multi-tracks.
Yep, all the multi-tracks, all the tracks, Pro Tools session, plugin list, description I actually put on every channel.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody, I haven't seen anybody doing this, but on every channel in the comments on Pro Tools I put notes.
Great.
What I did with this track, what's the purpose.
Ooh, I like that.
Well,
That's fantastic.
I thought it was pretty
and all the tracks are consolidated anyway, so you can dump them into any DAW.
Yeah, start to finish.
Any DAW. Yeah, fantastic.
All right, guys, this was Warren Huart, Produce Like a Pro.
David.
And this was MixbusTV. Thank you for watching. Check out the info box down below for all the links.
And I'll try I try very hard to answer as many comments and questions. So if you leave some comments and questions, I'll try my hardest to answer them as well.
And if you want to see us together again and want to drop some questions down below.
And there's another video.
Yeah.
There's another video on my channel. They're everywhere. Everywhere you look. He's everywhere.
Thank you for watching. Warren, David, MixbusTV.